Again, Coach.
Hey guys, it's Ashley King from Crooks Tattoo Studio here in Bristol. So we had a little Q&A before in a previous post, so this is something we're just answering back from. It's from Val Designs. It was tutorials on how to see different values, i.e. editing reference images. So that's just what I'm going to go into here today. The ones that we're starting with here, and this is the one I'm going to be editing up here. It's from first off, because it's a little bit dark, so the first thing that I always do is go to image. By the way, we're using Photoshop Creative Cloud here as well. Here's the 2018 and it's not updated to 2019 yet. But I go to image, adjustments, and then curves. The first thing I do is bring out right bang in the middle my midtones. To bring that up to when it kind of brings out the lights and the contrast a little bit more in it. The darks stay true because obviously it's down here, it's stuck on the darks here and your lights. So we'll play about that in a minute. But bring that up just so it brings the brightness of the whole image out first off, and then I can go around and play with this kind of to get my darker tones in. So the mid-tones is what I'm always kind of trying to keep true to the image, kind of bring them out here. You're just like playing around with it and stuff like that. And then I like to as well bring the highlights up, but sometimes it gives it a little bit too much contrast, so I can just kind of play with them and bring them down a little bit as well. Once I'm kind of happy, you can see the difference in that already from the dark to how light this is. But now as well, like maybe this little part, the center part's a little bit too dark on here. Another really good tip is to use this dodge tool or burn tool. So the dodge tool is going to bring out the pixels that are lighter. You've got your highlights, your midtones and your shadows, which I want to make lighter with the dodge tool there. I'll just show you how that works. So if I want to make some highlights a little bit more, pop a little bit more here, you can use your brush to actually bring those highlights out and kind of like bring them in the foreground a little bit more. By the way, just so you know, the light reference here we're going to be kind of hitting from this angle. So when you are trying to manipulate a photo and bring out the contrast and depth and stuff like that, you always got to remember to stay true to what the light angle is and kind of the source of the light, because if I start darkening up this, it's not actually staying true to where the light source is coming from. So just always keep that in mind as well. Bringing out some of these highlights, just making them like super clean and crisp, especially kind of getting out the edges of a rose here as well. I always like to just run over the center so it really brings out each petal wherever the light is hitting. Just bringing it contrasting a little bit. So this is where you can exaggerate. So whereas the mid-tone's running along here, and I want this a little bit brighter, it's all a mid-tone at the minute, but you can kind of artificially put that light in if you want a bit more of a contrast in your tattoo, which I think personally is a bit easier when you're looking at your reference. You're like, cool, the light's hitting on this side, I'm going to make that area brighter, or vice versa. If you know this is brighter in this area, this bit has to be darker because it's obviously shadowing. So bringing this out like that, and down here, that was all just one medium tone, but just bringing out this highlight here, you can kind of like differentiate it and kind of exaggerate the tones on that, which I find for me helps a lot when doing so. Again, you can do this with midtones as well, so if you want to kind of like continue to make this a little bit brighter, you can bring out your midtones in it using the dodge tool on the midtone section, but it doesn't like contrast it too much, so you still got your original values and stuff there, and you're not again manipulating it too much. As in talks to using it as reference, however, I've had to use a pad in the past, but I find kind of I have to position the pad where I'm not getting glare or anything like that, or if I'm wrapping it, if I keep on having to touch the pad, obviously with a contaminated hand, it's kind of, I've got to like manoeuvre it and stuff like that, causes a few issues. I do still prefer printing out my reference, so on here obviously when you've got like a backlit display, if you print it out sometimes you're like, that's way too more contrasted, so that you can go back to your images, adjustments, curves. So if it's coming out too contrasted on your printout, I would suggest just grabbing the mid-tone section, highlights and the mid-tones, and then print it out and then just see how you're getting on and then just fix it to whatever suits you best. But yeah, thanks for watching.